Hi, welcome back. This is video 2 in our character modeling tutorial series. The previous video we imported image planes. We also imported our reference scale mannequin from Unreal, and we created our base cube object for box modeling and then set up visual display layers. So the only thing I can really select is my geometry object, which is going to be a box. So I'm going to turn off my mannequin layer for a minute. The easiest way, in my point of view, to model a character is to start, especially an organic character like this that is meant to be one watertight base body form, is to start with one cube and start to refine that cube, add more detail to that. That way we are keeping clean four-sided quad modeling, and we know everything is one mesh instead of piece modeling everything together. So underneath the inputs, I'm going to go ahead and start by rounding this off slightly. I'm going to go to the polycube inputs and put in a subdivision width of 2. Puts another line down the center, and subdivision depth of 2. Okay. So it's a cube. We're going to want a more cylindrical torso base. So that's what those extra lines are going to be for. You're going to go ahead and kind of scale, and I always start with the pelvis, so about right there. I'm going to scale the box so it's relatively the base shape that I'm looking for. We're not looking for refined forms to begin with, we're looking for blocked out forms. So I'm going to keep going back to my mannequin to make sure I'm kind of proportionally matching the scale of what my end goal is going to be, but my idea is to model it based off of my source images here. So we can then next go right click and go into vertex mode. And I'm going to drag select and then come over here and shift drag select on all 8 corner points. Okay. We'll look at it from wireframe mode. I do not have the center 2 line vertices selected all the way around. I just have the outer corner points. And what I'm going to do first is just scale in these in the X and the Z axis, so that way it's more of a cylindrical shape to start with. We don't want to start with cubic shapes. When we know our final outcome is more organic, kind of cylindrical shapes. So if we go ahead and manipulate this cubic form into a cylinder, we can go ahead and have a better organic model. So I'm going to take the square that's horizontally beside the X and the Z axis and drag that in. So what that'll do is scale it in just those 2 axes. I don't want to scale it vertically, but I do want to scale it in some so that I have a cylindrical base. So the next thing I'm going to do is just use the extrude tool to start extruding forms up. And I'm going to go back and forth between my front, my side, and my perspective view to kind of match the scale and proportions that I need. Whenever I'm modeling a character, I'll always start with the base larger forms of the body and work my way to smaller forms. So the largest form of this character is going to be the torso, and then we will work our way outwards to the arms and legs, and then to the arms. Another good rule of thumb is also to start with a line of symmetry for the character, if the character does have symmetry, and then work your way out to the other areas. Basically, we don't want to model one arm and have to go back and model a second arm. So after I get my crotch to the top of the head blocked out, then I can start using symmetry tools, because one side of the body is relatively going to be the same as the other. So I'm going to go to my modeling toolkit and extrude. When I'm extruding, I'm going to be looking for uniform base extrusion. So if this is my height for my first extrusion, I'm going to try to follow the same height for the next one. There'll be some occasions where I can't. Maybe I'll make it a little smaller here. And then I'm going to scale this in a little bit. So we'll keep all 3 views open, because the torso kind of goes in a little bit. It goes out for the pelvis area. We'll extrude the legs out later. When I'm using the extrude tool, I click extrude, and then usually I will immediately go into the move tool. So the move tool allows me to manipulate it and move it up. We might scale this out just a little bit. And then I have the larger area of the rib cage, and then where the chest will come out. It's also important to look at it from the side view and try to angle follow what would be the curvature of the spine. So as I am extruding up, I want to start tilting this back a little bit. The pelvis is pretty straight in the middle. Whoops. And then as it reaches the rib cage, it's going to start to arch back some. So let's extrude again. This time we're going to move it up, move it back a little, I'm gonna get our scale tool and scale it out some. And this is gonna be the start of the rib cage. So in this occasion, I am gonna try to have smaller extrusions, but I just kind of want to pay attention to that as I'm moving around. Let's rotate it back just a little. All right, the next one is another extrusion, so I'm just going to continue to hit extrude, scale it out more, and I'm kind of looking at all of my axes. It needs to be wider in the X, but not as wide in the Z axis. So I'm going to extrude again, move it up. We're going to start to rotate back forward just a little bit. Okay, this one is going to go right underneath where the arms are going to come out. I might make another adjustment later, but so as in from the front view, this is going to be kind of right where the arms would connect. Right. I think it's pretty good with scale, so we're going to do another extrude. This next one's going to be right in the middle of the arms. So we want to scale it down just a little bit. And kind of move it back, scale it the Z-axis some. There we go. And we're going to start rotating forward as well. So but this is going to be in the center of the arm. All right, so extrude. Move up again. This will be up at the top of the shoulders. We'll come back and add more detail to the shoulders later. All right, so now we're going to start adding the neck to it. Extrude, and a lot of the tools that I'll do is just use an extrude and then move, rotate, and scale. So we'll scale this down. These go down more in the front view. So we can go back to our perspective view, just kind of orbit around some to see what everything looks like. Pretty good start. We can also hit spacebar and kind of go back to our other views as well. So we're going to extrude, and we need to do some more rotate. Kind of scale it forward some. The neck rotates forward towards the head, at least in this pose. So we'll do two. It needs to scale in horizontally a lot more. There we go. And one more. This will be the base of the neck right before the chin and the I guess the cranium of the skull kind of meets the neck. There we go. We'll scale just a little bit. There you go. Let's get a little horizontally there. All right, so now for the skull, we're going to try to follow up back to the crown of the head. So we're going to extrude upwards to the nose and then work our way back to the head. So we'll extrude, get the move tool, and this is going to be a pretty big extrude forward for the chin. Okay, we'll do that. We'll rotate it. And I'm looking for blocked out shapes. I don't have to follow the exact form perfectly. Scale it out a little bit. Move this up so maybe we can see it a little easier here. Just always want to keep eye on that perspective view. And we'll extrude again. And this might be like the center of the mouth area. It's another good loop to start with. Okay, I'm not worried about the chin not being so rounded yet. That's pretty good. The next one is going to be the center of the eyes. So I'm going to extrude this up. We're going to relatively make it so it's the center of the eyes. That's pretty good. And then the next extrusion, we're going to keep moving and start rotating it back towards the crown of the head. So we'll come back and pull the eyebrows and the nose out later. Probably want to go back down some. So if you hit shift comma, shift period, that'll increase or decrease your selection. So probably want to kind of scale this out a little bit for some thickness of the head. And then now this is going to go scale back inward there. Pretty good. All right, we're going to extrude a couple more times to get to the cap. Scale. Make sure we're not too wide horizontally. And we'll do maybe one or two more times. We'll go to a perspective view. Scale it down a lot for the crown of the head. Yeah, we'll probably nice to have one more in here. So one more. But that's a good kind of setup for the head, because this is really how our real body would work. We're set up. So we'll rotate a little more, do some more scaling down here. There we go. All right, so we have a pretty good torso blocked out. So the next video we'll come back and talk about how to extrude out the arms and legs, but we have the center line, symmetry line built. Now all we really need to do is extrude one arm out with the symmetry tools on, so that was what we'll do in the next video.